Captain Lee Taman stood in front of the large window in his office. He watched the ships moving in and out of Earth's orbital station. Some were human ships, but many belonged to other species from across the galaxy. 3 years ago, this sight would have amazed him. Now it just made him tired. The door behind him opened with a soft sound. He did not turn around. He knew who it was. "Bad news?" he asked. Dr. Park So-young walked up beside him. She held a data pad in her hands. Her face looked serious, which was never a good sign. So-young was usually cheerful, even when things went wrong. "The council wants to see us," she said. "Both of us, together." Taemin finally turned to look at her. "When?" "As soon as possible." They sent a formal request through the diplomatic channels. Very official, very polite. She paused. Too polite. Taemin knew what she meant. In 3 years of dealing with alien species, he had learned that when they became extra polite, it usually meant trouble. Big trouble. "What do they want to talk about?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "Us. Humans. Our expansion into new systems. Our military actions." So-young looked at her datapad. They mentioned something about territorial violations and aggressive behavior. Taemin walked to his desk and sat down. The chair was old and comfortable. He had kept it from his days as a young officer, back when Earth's biggest problem was keeping peace between different human nations. Those days seemed simple now. "How many violations are they claiming?" he asked. 47 separate incidents, across 12 systems. So-young's voice was calm, but Taemin could hear the worry underneath. "They have documentation, videos, witness statements from multiple species." Taemin rubbed his forehead. He felt a headache starting. "And how many of those incidents were actual violations?" "Maybe 10. The rest were either self-defense or protecting human civilians." So-young sat down across from his desk. But that might not matter to them. The two humans sat in silence for a moment. Outside the window, a large alien ship was docking at the station. It had the blue and silver colors of the Vorthak species. Taemin had fought alongside Vorthak soldiers once, during the Proxima conflict. They were good fighters, but they never seemed to trust humans completely. "Where is the meeting?" Taemin asked. "Harmony Point, the neutral station near the Centauri system." Taemin knew Harmony Point well. It was a massive space station built by several alien species working together. No weapons were allowed on the station. No military ships could come within 10 light hours of its position. It was supposed to be the safest place in known space. "Who else will be there?" he asked. So-young looked at her datapad again. "Representatives from 47 different species. The full council." That made Taemin sit up straight. The full council rarely met. Usually they handled business through smaller groups or electronic voting. When all 47 species gathered, in one place it meant something big was happening. "They are not calling this a trial," So-young continued. "The official term is diplomatic consultation, but it feels like a trial," Taemin finished. "Yes." Taemin stood up and walked back to the window. He could see Earth below them, blue and green and beautiful. Somewhere down there, 8 billion humans were going about their daily lives. Most of them had no idea that their entire future might be decided by aliens on a distant space station. "What do you think they really want?" he asked. So-young was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was soft. "I think they want us to stop being human." Taemin turned to look at her. "What do you mean?" "Think about it. Every complaint they have is about us acting like humans. We fight when we are attacked. We expand when we need more space. We protect our people even if it means using force." She stood up and joined him at the window. "They want us to be more like them." "And how are they?" "Careful. Peaceful. They talk instead of fighting. They share instead of competing. They work together instead of standing alone." So-young paused. "They survive instead of living." Taemin understood what she meant. In 3 years of dealing with alien species, he had noticed something strange. Most of them seemed afraid. Not afraid of humans specifically, but afraid of everything. They built their societies around avoiding conflict, preventing risk, maintaining safety. It worked for them. Their planets were peaceful. Their people lived long lives. Their governments were stable. But there was something missing, something that humans had and they did not. "When do we leave?" Taemin asked. "Tomorrow morning. The council provided a ship. They want us there in 5 days. Just the two of us? Just us. They specifically requested that humanity send no more than 2 representatives." So Young's voice became worried again. "Taemin, I think we need to be very careful. This does not feel like a normal diplomatic meeting." Taemin nodded. He had the same feeling. In his experience, when people limited the number of witnesses, it usually meant they were planning to do something they did not want others to see. "Have you told Earth Command about this?" he asked. "Yes. They are worried too. But they agree that we have to go. If we refuse, it might make things worse. And if we go, then maybe we can fix whatever is wrong, or at least understand what the real problem is." Taemin looked down at Earth again. 8 billion people counting on 2 humans to represent them to the galaxy. It seemed impossible. But then again, most of human history seemed impossible when you looked at it closely. "All right," he said. "Let's go see what the galaxy wants from us." So Young smiled for the first time since she had entered his office. Maybe it will not be as bad as we think. Taemin hoped she was right. But deep down, he had a feeling that their problems were just beginning. The ship that took them to Harmony Point was not human. It belonged to the Quillan species, and everything about it felt wrong to Taemin. The walls curved in strange ways. The lights were too dim. The air smelled like flowers, but flowers that had been dead for a long time. So Young seemed more comfortable with it. She had always been better at adapting to alien environments. While Taemin sat stiffly in his chair, she moved around the small passenger area, examining the alien writing on the walls and trying to make conversation with their pilot. The pilot was a Quillan named Vex. He was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and 4 arms. His species was known for being peaceful and wise. They had been exploring space for thousands of years before humans even invented writing. "How long until we reach Harmony Point?" So Young asked. 2 more days, Vex replied. His voice was soft and musical. "Are you nervous about the meeting?" "A little," So Young admitted. "We do not know what to expect." Vex was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "The Council is concerned about your species. You move very fast. You take risks. You fight when others would talk. Is that bad?" Taemin asked. "Different species have different ways," Vex said carefully. "But sometimes different ways can cause problems." Taemin did not like the sound of that. What kind of problems? But Vex had already turned back to his controls. The conversation was over. That night, as they traveled through hyperspace, Taemin could not sleep. He kept thinking about Vex's words. The human way was different. But why was different automatically bad? He found So Young in the ship's small observation area, looking out at the strange colors of hyperspace. She had a worried expression on her face. "Cannot sleep either?" he asked. "I keep thinking about something," she said. "Have you noticed how the other species talk about us?" "What do you mean?" "They never say we are evil or cruel. They say we are dangerous. There is a difference." Taemin sat down beside her. "Explain." "Evil. People choose to hurt others for selfish reasons. Dangerous people hurt others even when they do not mean to." So Young turned to look at him. "I think they see us as dangerous, not evil." "Is that better or worse?" "I do not know. You can negotiate with evil people. You can make deals, you can find compromises. But dangerous people..." She paused. "Dangerous people might need to be stopped." The next day, they arrived at Harmony Point. The station was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. It looked like a giant flower made of metal and crystal, with dozens of arms reaching out in all directions. Ships from many different species were docked at various points around the station. As their ship approached the docking bay, Timon saw something that made his stomach tight. There were a lot of military ships nearby, not docked at the station but close enough to respond quickly if needed. Ships from the Vorthak, the Kalari, the Threnodi, and at least 6 other species. Those are not supposed to be here. So Young said quietly, Harmony Point has a no-weapons zone. They are outside the zone, Taemin pointed out. Technically legal, but not normal. Their ship docked with a soft bump. Vex opened the airlock and gestured for them to exit. Welcome to Harmony Point, he said. But his voice did not sound welcoming. The station's main corridor was crowded, with beings from dozens of different species. Taemin and So-Young drew stares as they walked. Some aliens pointed at them and whispered to their companions. Others simply moved away as if the humans carried some kind of disease. Friendly crowd, Taemin muttered. A security officer approached them. He was a Kalari, with gray skin and 6 legs. You are the human representatives? Yes, So-Young replied. Dr. Park So-Young and Captain Lee Taemin. I am Officer Drack. I will escort you to your quarters. The Kellari's voice was cold and professional. You are not to leave the designated areas without permission. Are we prisoners? Taemin asked. You are guests, Drack replied. But there are security concerns. As they walked through the station, Taemin noticed more security officers than usual. They were positioned at every intersection, every doorway, every public area. All of them watched the 2 humans carefully. Their quarters were small but comfortable. 2 separate rooms connected by a common area. The walls had windows that showed the outside of the station, where dozens of ships moved in slow, careful patterns. At least we have a good view, So-Young said, trying to stay positive. Taemin was looking at something else. Look at the ship types, he said. So-Young joined him at the window. After a moment, she understood what he meant. Most of the ships outside were not trade vessels or passenger ships. They were military vessels, or ships that could be quickly converted for military use. They are preparing for something, she said. The question is what? That evening, they were invited to a reception for all the council representatives. It was held in a large hall with a dome ceiling that showed the stars outside. The room was filled with aliens from every major species in the galaxy. So-Young tried to mingle and make conversation. She had always been good at diplomacy, and she hoped to learn something about the upcoming meeting. But everywhere she went, the conversation stopped when she approached. Aliens who had been talking and laughing suddenly became quiet and formal. Taemin had a different approach. He found a spot near the wall where he could watch everyone. He had learned in the military that you could learn a lot about people by watching how they acted when they thought no one was looking. What he saw worried him. The aliens were not just unfriendly toward humans. They were afraid. He could see it in the way they moved, the way they looked around, the way they stayed close to members of their own species. Captain Taemin. He turned to see a tall figure approaching. It was Ambassador Krell, one of the most powerful members of the council. Krell belonged to the Vorthak species, and his crystal-like body reflected the light in beautiful patterns. Ambassador, Taemin replied with a slight nod. I wanted to speak with you before tomorrow's meeting, Krell said. His voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. To make sure you understand what is at stake. I am listening. Your species has been in space for only 3 years. In that time, you have established colonies in 12 systems. You have fought wars with 3 different species. You have violated territorial agreements 47 times. Krell paused. This concerns us. We have also helped evacuate refugee ships, provided medical aid to alien colonies, and shared our technology freely, Taemin replied. Yes, Krell admitted. You have done good things as well. But the galaxy is a delicate place, Captain. It has taken us thousands of years to build a stable, peaceful civilization. We cannot allow that to be destroyed. Are you saying we are a threat to galactic peace? Krell was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was sad. I am saying that tomorrow's meeting will determine your species' future. I hope you will make the right choice." Before Taman could ask what that meant, Krell walked away, leaving the human captain alone with his thoughts. Later, back in their quarters, Taman told So Young about his conversation with Krell. "What do you think he meant by the right choice?" she asked. "I think he means surrender," Taman replied. "Stop expanding. Stop fighting. Stop being human." "And if we refuse?" Taman looked out the window at all the military ships surrounding the station. "Then I think our problems are going to get much worse." The council chamber was the largest room Taman had ever seen. It was shaped like a giant bowl, with seats arranged in circles that went up and up until they seemed to touch the ceiling. In the center was a small platform where speakers could address the assembly. 47 different species were represented in those seats. Some were familiar to Taman: the crystal-like Vorthak, the multi-armed Quillen, the insect-like Kalari. Others were completely alien, with body shapes and features that hurt to look at directly, and all of them were staring at two humans. So Young walked beside Taman as they made their way to the center platform. Their footsteps echoed in the huge space. The silence was so complete that Taman could hear his own heartbeat. "Representatives of humanity," a voice said from somewhere above them. "You may take your positions." They climbed the few steps to the platform. Taman looked around at all the alien faces watching them. Some looked curious, some looked worried, but most looked afraid. High Counselor Thex floated down from the upper levels. Thex was ancient, even by Quillen standards. His forearms were thin and wrinkled, and his pale blue skin had dark spots that came with great age. He had been alive when humans were still discovering fire. "This session of the Galactic Council is now in order," Thex announced. His voice was old but strong. "We are here to discuss the matter of human expansion and its impact on galactic stability." Thex gestured toward Ambassador Krell, who rose from his seat. The Vorthak's crystal body caught the light and threw rainbow patterns on the walls. "Honored counselors," Krell began, "we face a situation that threatens everything we have built. In 3 short years, humanity has expanded across 12 star systems. They have engaged in military actions against multiple species. They have violated territorial agreements and ignored diplomatic protocols." Krell waved his hand, and holographic images appeared in the air above the platform. The first showed human ships attacking an alien convoy. "This is the incident at Proxima 7, Krell said. "Human forces destroyed 3 Kalari merchant vessels without provocation." Taman felt his anger rising. "Those were not merchant vessels," he said loudly. "They were slavers. They had captured human civilians from our colony." "You did not attempt diplomatic solutions," Krell replied. "You simply attacked." "Because they were torturing our people." The chamber erupted in whispers and clicking sounds as the aliens discussed this among themselves. Thex raised one of his hands for silence. "The human will have his chance to speak," Thex said. "Please continue, Ambassador Krell." More images appeared. Human soldiers fighting on an alien world. Human ships claiming territory in disputed space. Human colonists building settlements on planets that other species considered sacred. With each image, Krell's voice became more serious. "This is the pattern we see. Humans take what they want. They fight when challenged. They show no respect for the established order that has kept peace in this galaxy for millennia." So Young stepped forward. "May I respond to these charges?" Thex nodded. "You may speak, Dr. Park." So Young activated her own data device. New images appeared. Human medical ships treating alien refugees. Human engineers sharing technology with primitive species, human diplomats negotiating peace treaties. "It is true that humanity has been involved in conflicts," she said. "But we have also saved lives, shared knowledge, and worked for peace." The incident at Proxima 7 involved slavers who had kidnapped human children. The fighting on Kelax 2 happened because we were defending an alien colony from raiders. The settlements that Ambassador Krell mentioned were built with full permission from the local governments. She paused and looked around the chamber. "We are not perfect. We make mistakes. But we are not the monsters you are making us out to be. A new voice spoke from the upper levels. It belonged to Counselor Yith, a member of the Threnody species. The Threnody looked like giant spiders, but they were known for their wisdom and fairness. Dr. Park, Yith said, you say humans make mistakes. But your mistakes involve violence and death. When other species make mistakes, they might lose money or waste time. When humans make mistakes, people die. That is because we are willing to take risks that others are not, Taemin said. Yes, sometimes people die. But sometimes that is the only way to save other lives. And who decides when violence is necessary? Asked another voice. This came from Counselor Pren, a floating creature that looked like a jellyfish made of light. Who gave humans the right to use force whenever they think it is needed? The same right that every species has, Taemin replied. The right to defend ourselves and protect innocent people. But you define innocent very broadly, Ambassador Krell said. To humans, anyone who is being harmed deserves protection, even if helping them causes larger problems. So Young realized what was happening. You are not really concerned about our actions, she said slowly. You are concerned about our example. The chamber became very quiet. Thex leaned forward in his floating chair. Explain. You have built a civilization based on avoiding conflict. You solve problems through committees and negotiations and compromise. It works for you. But what happens when other species see humans solving problems through action? What happens when they start to think that maybe the human way is better? The human way leads to chaos, Krell said firmly. It leads to war and death and the destruction of everything we have worked to build. The human way leads to change, Taemin corrected. And change scares you. High Counselor Thex was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was sad. Captain Taemin, you are very young. Your entire species is young. You do not understand what we have seen. Then, tell us, So Young said. Thex waved his hand and new images appeared. These were different from the others. They showed burning planets, destroyed fleets, entire civilizations reduced to ash and dust. These are the Koraks, Thex said. They were a warrior species, much like humans. They believed in fighting for what was right. They expanded quickly, across their region of space. They were brave and noble and willing to die for their beliefs. The images showed more destruction. These are the Valdris, another warrior species. They fought against injustice wherever they found it. They protected the weak and challenged the strong. More images, more dead civilizations. The Canari, the Thorek, the Zultan, all warrior species, all extinct. What happened to them? So Young asked, though she was afraid she already knew the answer. They fought, Thex said simply. They fought for justice, for freedom, for what they believed was right. And eventually they fought each other. And when warrior species fight each other, he gestured at the images of destroyed worlds. This is what happens. Taemin felt a cold feeling in his stomach. How many species like us have you encountered? 12, Thex replied. Over the past 50,000 years, we have encountered 12 species similar to humanity. Species that solve problems with force. Species that believe violence is sometimes necessary. Where are they now? Taemin asked, though he already knew. Gone, Thex said. All of them. Some destroyed themselves in wars. Others had to be contained before they could spread their violent ways to peaceful species. The chamber was completely silent now. Taemin and So Young stood on the platform, surrounded by the representatives of 47 alien species, and finally understood what this meeting was really about. You are not here to judge our actions, So Young said quietly. You are here to decide whether to eliminate us. High Counselor Thex closed his ancient eyes. You are here to choose, he said. Accept permanent containment within your current territory, with strict limits on your expansion and military activities. Or, Taemin asked. Or join the 12 species that came before you, Thex replied. The choice is yours. High Counselor Thex raised one of his thin hands. We will take a 1-hour recess, he announced. The human representatives may use this time to consider their response. The alien voices started immediately. 47 different species began, talking at once, creating a wall of sound that echoed through the massive chamber. Some of the sounds were familiar, voices and clicking noises. Others were completely alien, musical tones, electronic beeps, and sounds that had no human equivalent. Tai-Min and So-Young were escorted to a small room next to the main chamber. The door closed behind them with a soft click, and suddenly everything was quiet. So-Young sat down heavily in one of the chairs. Her hands were shaking slightly. 12 species, she said quietly. 12 species like us, and they are all gone. Tai-Min was pacing back and forth. The room was small and he felt trapped. They want us to choose between prison and death, he said. What kind of choice is that? Maybe containment would not be so bad, So-Young said, but her voice did not sound convinced. We could focus on developing our current worlds, build a strong civilization within our territory. For how long? Tai-Min stopped pacing and looked at her. How long before they decide we are still too dangerous? How long before they find excuses to make our prison smaller and smaller? So-Young put her head in her hands. I do not know. I thought I understood them. I thought if we could just explain our side, show them our good intention. She looked up at him. I was wrong, was not I? This was never about our actions. It was always about what we are. Tai-Min sat down across from her. For a few minutes they sat in silence. Then he said, Tell me about the aliens, the ones in the council. What do you know about their species? Why? Just tell me. So-Young thought for a moment. The Vorthak, like Krell, come from a world with very little gravity. Their planet has no large predators. They evolved from plant-eating creatures that lived in trees. What about the Quillen? Their homeworld is mostly ocean. They lived on floating islands. No land predators at all. They developed technology to avoid the sea monsters, not to fight them. The Kalari? Underground dwellers. Their world has a poisonous atmosphere. They evolved in deep caves, away from everything dangerous. Tai-Min was beginning to understand something. What about the others? Do any of them come from worlds like Earth? So-Young shook her head slowly. No, none of them. They all evolved on worlds that were safer than Earth. Worlds with fewer predators, fewer natural disasters, fewer things that could kill them. And the 12 species that they eliminated? I do not know much about them. But... So-Young paused. But if they were like us, then probably yes. Probably they came from dangerous worlds. Tai-Min stood up and started pacing again. So that is it. They did not eliminate warrior species. They eliminated Deathworld species. What do you mean? Think about it. Earth is what xenobiologists call a death world. High gravity, dangerous weather, large predators, poisonous plants, deadly diseases. Most planets that develop life are much safer than Earth. So-Young was starting to understand. And species that evolve on death worlds develop differently. Exactly. We had to become strong to survive. We had to learn to fight. We had to be willing to take risks. Tai-Min sat back, down. But species from safe worlds never had to learn those things. They learned to avoid danger instead of facing it. Right. And when they got to space, they brought that mentality with them. They built a civilization based on avoiding conflict, preventing risk, maintaining safety. So-Young was quiet for a moment. And then we came along. And we do not fit. We face problems instead of avoiding them. We take risks instead of playing it safe. We fight when we have to, instead of always looking for another way. So they see us as a threat to their entire way of life. Tai-Min nodded. And maybe we are. Maybe seeing humans succeed by being brave and taking risks makes other species question their own choices. So-Young stood up and walked to the small window. Outside, she could see some of the military ships that surrounded the station. So what do we do? I do not know, Tai-Min admitted. If we accept containment, we save humanity, but we give up everything that makes us human. If we refuse, he did not finish the sentence. They will try to destroy us. Yes. So, Young turned back to him. Could we win? If it came to a fight? Taemin thought about it. Against 1 or 2 species? Maybe. Against 47 species working together? No. We are tough, but we are not that tough. Then we do not really have a choice. Maybe we do. Taemin had been thinking about something. What if we are looking at this wrong? What do you mean? What if the problem is not that we are too violent? What if the problem is that they are too afraid? So Young sat back down. Explain. Look at what they have built. A perfect, peaceful civilization. No wars, no conflicts, no risks. It sounds wonderful, right? Right. But what happens to a civilization like that over time? What happens when people never have to face danger, never have to struggle, never have to fight for anything? So Young thought about it. They become weak. Exactly. They lose the ability to handle crisis. They become so focused on avoiding problems that they forget how to solve them. And then when a real threat appears, they panic. They make terrible decisions. They see enemies everywhere. Taemin leaned forward. So Young, what if we are not the problem? What if we are the solution? I do not understand. What if the galaxy needs species like us? Species that are willing to take risks, to fight when necessary, to face problems head on. So Young was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, "You think they need us, but they are too afraid to admit it. I think they have been safe for so long that they have forgotten what real strength looks like. And when they see it in us, it scares them. So what do we tell them?" Before Taemin could answer, there was a soft knock on the door. Officer Drack, the Kalari security officer, entered the room. "It is time," he said. "The council is ready for your response." Taemin and So Young looked at each other. They had talked for an hour, but they still did not have an answer. How do you choose between imprisonment and extinction? As they walked back toward the main chamber, So Young said quietly, "Whatever we say it together." Together. Taemin agreed. They reached the entrance to the chamber. Beyond the door, 47 alien species waited for humanity's decision. The future of their entire race depended on what they said in the next few minutes. Taemin looked at So Young one more time. "Ready?" She took a deep breath. "No, but let us do it anyway." "That," Taemin said with a slight smile, "is the most human thing you have ever said." The doors opened, and they walked back into the chamber. 47 species fell silent, waiting to hear whether humanity would choose slavery or death. But Taemin and So Young had decided on a third option. They were going to choose to be human. The chamber was completely silent as Taemin and So Young walked back to the center platform. 47 different species watched them with eyes, sensors, and organs that humans had no names for. The weight of their attention felt like a physical thing pressing down on the two humans. High Counselor Thex floated in his chair above them. His ancient face showed no emotion, but his 4 hands were perfectly still. In Quillan body language, that meant he was nervous. "Have you reached a decision?" Thex asked. So Young stepped forward. "We have," she said. Her voice was calm and clear. "But before we give you our answer, we would like to say something." Ambassador Krell shifted in his crystal seat. "You were asked to choose between containment and consequences. There is nothing else to discuss." "There is everything to discuss," Taemin said. He moved to stand beside So Young. "Because you are asking the wrong question." A ripple of whispers moved through the chamber. Several aliens leaned forward in their seats. Others moved back as if the humans had suddenly become more dangerous. "The question is not whether humanity is too violent for your civilization," So Young continued. "The question is whether your civilization has become too weak to survive." The whispers stopped. The chamber became so quiet that the only sound was the soft hum of the station's life support systems. Thex's 4 hands moved slightly. "Explain." So Young looked around the chamber, making eye contact with as many representatives as she could. "You have told us about the 12 species you eliminated. You called them warrior species. You said they were violent and dangerous. They were, Krell said firmly. Maybe, Taemin said. But they were also the only species in 50,000 years who were willing to fight for what they believed in, and now they are all gone. The galaxy is more peaceful without them, said Counselor Yeath, the spider-like Threnody. Is it? So Young asked. Or is it just more afraid? She activated her data device. New images appeared in the air above the platform. These were not images of human actions or alien worlds. They were star charts showing the current borders of galactic civilization. This is how far your species have expanded in the last 1,000 years, So Young said. The charts showed almost no change. And this is how much new space you have explored. Again, almost nothing. You have the technology to reach new galaxies, to discover new forms of life, to push the boundaries of what is possible. But you do not use it. Expansion is risky, Counselor Pren said. The jellyfish-like being's light pulsed nervously. We might encounter hostile species. You might encounter anything, Taemin said. New allies, new knowledge, new worlds to live on, new solutions to old problems. But you will never know, because you are too afraid to look. Thex leaned forward, in his chair. We have built the most stable, peaceful civilization in galactic history. Why would we risk that? Because stable and peaceful is not the same as strong and healthy, So Young replied. When was the last time any of your species made a major breakthrough in technology? When was the last time anyone discovered something that changed how you live? The chamber was quiet. Too quiet. You have not, Taemin said. Because breakthrough discoveries come from taking risks, and you have eliminated risk from your civilization. We have eliminated unnecessary danger, Krell corrected. You have eliminated all danger, So Young said, and in doing so you have eliminated growth, discovery, and progress. She gestured to the star charts again. In 3 years, humans have explored more new space than your entire civilization has explored in 3 centuries. We have made first contact with 6 new species. We have developed new technologies. We have solved problems that you said were impossible. You have also started wars, Yith pointed out. Yes, Taemin admitted. Sometimes we have. But we have also ended wars that had been going on for generations. We have stopped slave traders, defeated pirates, and protected colonies that your civilization ignored because helping them was too risky. Thex was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was tired. What are you trying to say? So Young took a deep breath. We are saying that you need us, not despite our willingness to fight, but because of it. You need species that are willing to take risks, to face danger, to do what is necessary even when it is hard. You eliminated 12 species like us, Taemin continued, and look what happened. Your civilization became stagnant. You stopped growing. You stopped exploring. You stopped pushing boundaries. We became safe, Krell said. You became stagnant. So Young corrected, and eventually something will come along that your safety-focused civilization cannot handle. A natural disaster, a hostile alien race, a technological problem that requires bold solutions. And when that happens, you will wish you still had species that knew how to fight. The chamber erupted in voices. Some aliens were angry, shouting in their various languages. Others sounded afraid. A few sounded thoughtful, as if they were considering what the humans had said. Thex raised his hands for silence. It took several minutes for the noise to die down. You still have not given us your decision, he said. Taemin and So Young looked at each other. Then Taemin stepped forward. Our decision is no, he said. No to containment? Thex asked. No to both options, So Young said. We will not accept imprisonment, and we will not quietly allow you to destroy us. Then you choose war, Krell said, his crystal body flashing with angry colors. We choose to be human, Taemin replied. We will continue to explore, to grow, to take risks, and yes, to fight when fighting is necessary. If that threatens your civilization, then maybe your civilization needs to change. Taemin reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. Several security officers moved toward the platform, But he held up his hand. "This is not a weapon," he said. "It is a recording device." He activated it and images began to appear. But these were different from all the others. These showed human children playing in Earth's parks, families eating dinner together, artists creating beautiful works, scientists making discoveries, ordinary people living ordinary lives. "This is what you are threatening to destroy," So Young said quietly. "Not just human soldiers or human colonies, human children, human families, human dreams." Taemin added more images. Humans and aliens, working together. Human doctors treating alien patients. Human engineers teaching alien students. Human and alien children playing together on colony worlds. "This is what humanity offers," he said. "Not just strength and courage, but also compassion and hope. We fight when we must, but we also love, create, and build." The chamber was completely silent now. Some of the alien representatives were looking at the images with expressions that might have been sadness. Others looked confused as if they were seeing something they did not understand. So Young looked around the chamber one more time. "You have a choice too," she said. "You can try to destroy us, and maybe you will succeed. You're 47 species against our one. But even if you win, you will have proved that your peaceful civilization is willing to commit genocide to maintain its safety. Or," Taemin continued, "you can try something that your species have not done in 50,000 years. You can try to learn from us instead of fearing us." With that, the two humans turned and walked toward the exit. They did not run. They did not hurry. They simply walked as if they were leaving any normal meeting. Behind them, the chamber remained silent. 47 species sat motionless, watching two humans walk away. The humans had not begged for mercy. They had not offered to change. They had not even tried to negotiate. They had simply explained what they were and why that was important. At the chamber entrance, So Young stopped and turned back to face the assembly. "When you have eliminated everyone who reminds you of your own fears," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the silent chamber, "you will find that the greatest threat to your survival was never the predators you ran from. It was the courage you left behind." The door closed behind them with a soft sound. In the chamber, 47 species sat in total silence, each thinking about what they had just heard. And for the first time in 50,000 years, some of them began to wonder if safety and survival were really the same thing. High Counselor Thex closed his ancient eyes and tried to remember what courage felt like.